Am I the a-hole for bringing my girlfriend on a date to my daughter's workplace? I, 51 male, have been dating my girlfriend Millie for just over 6 months. My wife died 4 years ago, and this is my longest relationship since. However, my daughter Bianca, 21 female, disapproves. She has a lot of issues with me and Millie, but the main ones are the way we met through a website and that I moved Millie into our house fairly quickly after 3 months. In my defense, losing my wife much earlier than I had ever imagined really taught me to seize and enjoy each moment, and it just felt right to both of us to have Millie there with me, permanently. 2 months ago, Bianca and Millie got into a dispute over our spare room, which Bianca uses as a music space, but Millie wanted to convert it into a shooting space for social media, which is her job. I took Millie's side since she's going to be here longer term, so Bianca sped up her plans to move out the next week and asked that I warn her if Millie's going to be present at any event or visit. Anyway, last week I thought it would be nice to treat Millie for her birthday, and she asked for a shopping trip and dinner out, which I was happy to do. The issue is that she specifically asked to go to a restaurant where Bianca works as a waitress, since it's known as one of the most exclusive and classy places in our town. I knew Bianca was working that day, but figured it would be alright since it's a large restaurant and a special occasion. When we arrived, we were given another server, so I thought everything was okay. About 15 minutes later, Bianca walked out from the kitchen and immediately saw us sitting there, then walked straight back without even saying hi. She kept passing the table and silently glaring daggers at Millie, which was just unnecessary when Millie tried to be polite. Millie then asked Bianca for the bill because she was the nearest waitress, and Bianca slapped it down on the table wordlessly, then sent another waitress to see us out. Later, I called her and asked why she had behaved like a child. Bianca said that Millie and I had been deliberately flirting to upset her, which is untrue. The most that happened was a couple of kisses and a bit of footsie and giggling. Bianca also claims that when I briefly left to use the toilet, Millie called her over and told her not to contact me for the next few days, as we would be too busy engaging in private activities. I find it hard to believe Bianca because Millie has made an effort to bond with her through organizing girly activities among other things, while Bianca has a history of manipulating others to get her way. Bianca then told me she wants no contact with Millie or with me apart from at family gatherings. My family is split over the issue, and my ex-wife's sister called to cuss me out for neglecting Bianca, who is still grieving her mother. So, am I the asshole? I understand that Bianca and Millie have their issues, and Bianca misses her mother, but Bianca was at work, and I think she should have been more professional. Up's daughter makes this comment on her dad's post. Hey everyone, this is Bianca talking after I saw the Twitter thread made with dad's post, and my roommate encouraged me to make an account to at least try to defend myself. I hope at least some of you hear me out, and thank you to the very kind Twitter peeps who are looking out for me. Appreciate it, guys, and I'm fine. What my dad says is grains of truth, but is so far from the full story, it's basically bullshit. My mum did die when I was 17, and dad and I were actually very close. He started dating again a couple of years after she died, and I was always very supportive until Millie came along. Regardless of what dad says, Millie and I had an emotional relationship lasting several months, which ended in a massive bust-up, and us losing contact, and he was aware of this when I told him I recognized her. He brushed it aside and told me I would get used to it, and we would be introduced gradually. I was stupid and believed his shit. He moved her into the house without asking me while I was visiting Mum's family for the week. She did not try to bond with me. She used our shopping days and trips as an excuse to get money off Dad for herself. She cried and begged Dad until he got rid of my music room and he fell for it. I asked them not to be intimate when I was around because I was uncomfortable. They ignored me. Millie and Dad have since tried to contact me regularly and have shown up in unexpected places. They showed up at my church. They have apparently visited my work and asked my friends if I'm there. They have even tried messaging me to ask when I'm visiting Mum's grave and if I want them to join. They are despicable people who deserve to be cut off. I would love to hear Dad's explanation of why I'm manipulative. Until then, thank you so much to everyone looking out for me again, and just don't believe any of the crap in this thread. Other than the shit about liking young women. That's probably true. The father then makes another post. Am I the asshole for bringing my fiancé to my daughter's wedding? I, 52 male, have a daughter, Bianca, 23 female, who got married last week to her wife, Efru, 24 female. They had been dating just under a year and decided to have an intimate wedding with me and about 20 other guests. Bianca does not get along with my fiancé, Millie, 29 female. Bianca has no contact at all with Millie, refuses to come to our house, and has been quite low contact with me for the last year or so because of an argument she had with Millie. As expected, Bianca did not invite Millie to the wedding, but invited me as a guest. Millie said she did not mind if I went without her, which I thought was very gracious in the face of rudeness. However, we recently found out that Millie is a few weeks pregnant with our first child, and she has been anxious and having panic attacks all the way through her pregnancy. The morning of the wedding, I found Millie crying on the sofa and literally shaking. I asked what was wrong, and she said she felt very panicky and unsafe alone. I offered to stay home since she was so ill and I was worried about her, but she insisted I go to the wedding. I was too concerned to go without her, so I messaged Afru, informed her of the situation, and that Millie would be coming with me in case she had a medical emergency while I was away. Afru did not respond until we were already dressed up and halfway to the venue. Afru told us that Millie was not to set foot at the wedding, but at that point I had no other option and I wanted to be there for Bianca. It did not go well. Bianca did not speak to me the whole way through the wedding and kept giving ugly looks to Millie. At the reception there obviously wasn't a place set for Millie and an extra chair had to be squeezed in. I cut some food and fed her off my own plate, so I did not think it was a big deal. Ifru came to me after dinner, said that Bianca was not doing a father-daughter dance with me, and gave me a list of complaints. She said she was disgusted by Millie's dress because it was red and that Millie was wrong to introduce herself as stepmother to Bianca and that Millie should not have mentioned her pregnancy at all. Millie only mentioned her pregnancy because she was offered a little cake and cake makes her sick because of the pregnancy hormones. Ifru told us to leave after dinner and I agreed, so I did not upset Bianca. However, when Millie stood up, her stomach cramped and she fell over. It only made a tiny scene, but I rushed her out and we sat in another room for 20 minutes until she felt better. Ifru's mother came in at that point while I was just calming Millie down and made us get out. Since then, Ifru and Bianca's maternal family have been sending me angry messages about how rude we were and Ifru has told me they want no contact for the foreseeable future. I really meant well and I just wanted to make everyone happy. But am I in the wrong? Another post which appears to be from OP as well. Am I wrong for marrying my new wife with my late ex-wife's wedding ring? I married my long-term fiancée, now wife, Millie, last week. We have a child together, 9 months, female, who I will call Penny, and I have an older daughter with my ex-wife, who I will call Bianca. Millie and Bianca do not see eye to eye and Bianca has been very low contact with me for the last few years as a result of several disagreements between the two. These stem from Millie moving into my house and taking over a room Bianca used as a music studio and Millie taking ill at Bianca's wedding, which Bianca perceived as Millie trying to steal the spotlight. Bianca has only met her little sister 2 or 3 times, and always insists on meeting her outside my house with my wife not present. After my ex-wife died, I kept her wedding ring, engagement ring, and other bits of jewelry. Bianca immediately inherited some of the jewelry, and I kept other, most important, bits back, including the wedding and engagement rings, without telling Bianca. When Millie was pregnant with Penny, I revealed to Bianca I had her mother's engagement ring and offered it to her if she would come to the baby shower and participate in our family. She turned me. So, I decided that, since Bianca had decided to turn down the promise of the engagement ring, she would not be too fussed about other jewelry. My ex-wife's wedding ring was very beautiful with a very distinctive stone, and I liked the symbolism of my former and future wives being connected, so I asked Millie whether she would like to use the ring. She was absolutely delighted as she loves the ring and agreed. So, I invited Bianca to the wedding, and she eventually agreed, with the promise of not being in any family photos and not having to attend the reception. I thought this was a good compromise that would allow us to rebuild the relationship slowly. There was an argument when Millie refused to invite Bianca's wife as the wedding is in a Catholic church, but I calmed Bianca down and agreed to sit her with her grandparents and aunts at the ceremony. Millie was absolutely delighted that Bianca agreed to come as she really wanted to start to build bridges and reconcile. Bianca attended the wedding and all went well until it came to the exchange of rings. As the rings were presented, Bianca must have recognized Millie's ring and simply stood up and walked out of the church. We did not realize she had left until after the ceremony and Millie was absolutely beside herself. It completely ruined the ceremony. She was drunk and cried the entire night. She's become extremely depressed and does nothing but lie on the sofa. I tried to contact Bianca that night and managed to get through to her wife. She called Millie a B-word and a manipulator who stole Bianca's heirloom. This is not true. I have since been blocked by Bianca and her wife, and this has completely ruined the memory of our special day. I do plan to check on Bianca's well-being at some point, but in the meantime, was I wrong? My marriage is on the rocks because of my mother. I need some serious help. I read it often, but needed to make an account different from my main. My marriage is seriously on the rocks, and although I've browsed here before, I never thought I'd have to post one day, but here we are. I'm 36, male, and my wife is 28, female. Been married for 4 years, together for 6, and have a 1-year-old daughter who is the light of my life. My wife is an amazing mother and partner. My own mother, on the other hand, is absolutely ridiculous, and my wife has made me realize over time that my relationship with her is not healthy. My mom tries to control everything, including our wedding, which I convinced my wife to suck it up and go with my mom's ideas. She is still resentful of me for it. Passive-aggressive behavior on my mother's part, basically since we started dating, has made my wife absolutely hate her. I'll admit, I haven't been as firm with my mum as I should have been in the past. This brings us to yesterday. Our wedding anniversary was last night. We're a little tight on money right now, being new parents, and our jobs are not fantastic. So I suggested that a family friend watch our daughter. I buy us a nice bottle of wine and we cook dinner and just relax. I could tell my wife was disappointed that we couldn't do anything bigger or better, but she agreed this was the best choice and we settled to both be home from work at 6 p.m. I was headed home from work when I got a call from my mother asking me to come over because it was an emergency. I asked her what type of emergency it was, and she just started crying frantically and begging me to come over. It was already 5:30 p.m., but I live in a low-volume traffic area, so I figured I would stop by and calm my mum down before I met my wife. When I got to my mother's house, she was literally sitting on the couch, having a glass of wine and watching TV. I was livid. She was so calm too, not the frantic monster I was speaking to on the phone. I started pressing about what the emergency was and reminded her that this was the night of my wedding anniversary, and she said she had some house tasks for me to do, which in my opinion she was 100% capable of doing herself, things like washing the dishes, watering her house plants, cleaning the gutters, etc., so definitely not emergency material. But she guilt me into doing them. She was literally screaming at me at one point that I was a bad son. And I texted my wife letting her know that I was going to be late because I was at my mom's house. She didn't respond to my text. Before I knew it, it was 7:30 p.m. My mom kept trying to put more tasks on me, but I put my foot down and let her know that I needed to get home. When I finally got home to my wife, she wasn't there. I was worried, so I texted and called her many times. No response. I was able to track her phone and found out that she was at her parents' house. They don't live far, around 20 minutes away. She finally got back at 11 p.m., and as I greeted her with a glass of champagne, she told me to save it for myself, because she wanted a divorce. I was shocked and started breaking down. I asked her why, and she said that tonight was the final straw in a long list of things that I've always put my mother first. She said that she expected today, of all days, to be our one time together, but even my mum is able to intervene on our wedding anniversary. I asked her what I could do, begged her to go to counseling. She is refusing. I asked her if there is someone else. She said that someone else is herself, and that it's time for her to start working on herself and stop worrying about me being able to put my mother first. She has since moved into the guest bedroom in our house and hasn't talked to me much this morning. I tried to kiss her on the way out to drop off our daughter before work, and she just moved out of my way. So, how do I save this sinking ship? I'm committed to doing everything for my wife to improve this, but she says that this is past fixing. I'm at a complete loss. I'm worried that she will see, or already has seen, a divorce lawyer, and I'd like to stop this in its tracks before it goes too far. I flared this as, give it to me straight, because I just need people to be as honest as possible with me right now. I know I fucked up, but I also need to know how to fix this. Edit. The post has been locked, but I'm trying to read through each comment the best I can. As far as I can tell, I really need to man up, get therapy, and give my wife some space. Some of the comments are brutally honest, but that's fine, because that's what I needed. I've got a lot of work to do on myself and on this relationship. Update. My post was locked yesterday. I was able to give a small update at the end, but I thought I'd give a larger one here. First, I just want to say thanks to everyone who took the time to respond. Some of the responses were brutally honest, but I did tag the flare as, give it to me straight, so that makes sense. 1. Some people were commenting that me asking if there was somebody else that my wife was seeing was inappropriate. I really don't see how it was inappropriate, but to each their own, and my wife definitely thought it was inappropriate too, and was one of the tipping point comments that made her move into the guest room. I know I said I'd give her space, but the conflict was killing me. So yesterday, when she got back from work, I knocked on the guest room door and tried to get her to come down to the kitchen to talk to me, but she was still refusing to talk about all of this until she was ready. I asked her when she'd be ready, and she just shut the door in my face. 2. Late last night, my mum showed up unannounced, which is unfortunately something she does, and my wife answered the door. I could hear my mum asking my wife how our anniversary was. My wife called for me to come down and handle my mum, her exact words, and my mum started interrogating her as to what handle means. By the time I got down there, ready to defuse the situation, it was already too late. My wife had poked the bear, and my mum was laying the verbal smack down. I asked my wife what she said to my mum. Stupid, I know, and she just went up to the guest room and slammed the door. I finally realized what was going on and asked my mum to leave, but she was refusing. I had to threaten to call the police, and then she finally left. 3 This morning my wife packed her bags, a bag for my daughter, and left for her parents' house. I was surprised that she didn't even tell me beforehand. I was able to stop her and ask her what was going on as she was headed out the door, and she said she's had enough of the verbal abuse, that she's ready to find a partner that will stick up for her and her family. She said that I will always put my mother first, and last night was an example of that this relationship cannot be salvaged and she will be seeing a divorce lawyer ASAP. As a last-ditch effort, I asked her what I could do to fix this. She just shook her head at me and then she left. I'm a mess. I've lost everything meaningful to me within the span of 48 hours. I keep calling and texting her and getting no response back. I called one of my buddies to tell him what went down and he's on his way now. When I told him what had all happened, his reaction was a mix of shock and congratulations. You played yourself. He called me denser than a block of bricks. I told him that I still have some hope that this relationship can last, and he laughed and said I need to put that idea to rest. I know I've got things I need to work on. Boundaries, for sure. My relationship with my mother, who I am working on, blocking on literally every avenue of communication that I have. Myself. To be completely honest, I'm not a big believer in therapy, but I know that I need it and I'm hoping it will make me a better person. And maybe if my wife sees me working on myself, then there's some hope. As for my marriage, there's a part of me that's still optimistic, but I know it will be hard for my wife to come back from this. As painful as it is for me, I need to just play the next couple of days, weeks, or months by ear and just see what happens. Update 2. You all were right, and my mother is toxic. Hello, it's me again. This will probably be the last time I post on here. My wife has officially collected all of her things and my daughter's things and moved back in with her parents. I did the dumbest move ever and stayed with my mum for a few days to collect my thoughts. It was dumb on a lot of levels, but I finally saw firsthand the abuse that my wife was receiving because now it was directed entirely at me. She also did some really weird things, like trying to snuggle me to sleep. One night, I woke up and she was snuggling me. I had to tell her to get back to her own bed. I realized how counterintuitive it was for me to be there, so I moved out one morning when she was sleeping and came back to my home. I went back through some responses on my first post and finally began to follow the advice. I've officially blocked my mother on everything and invested in a small home security system for my house. She's tried to show up a few times, but I've locked all of our gates and she does not have a key. I also rekeyed the doors in our home just in case. I've had 2 therapy sessions and I stupidly thought it would be just a one-and-done type of thing. In my first one, I was given some really good advice and was told that if I'm just here to save my marriage, then I should look elsewhere because I also need a lot of work. That really got me thinking. My therapist is fantastic too. As for my marriage, I don't know what's next. We are going through a trial separation at the moment, and she hasn't spoken to me much except to talk about our daughter. I'm also realizing that I may have been a bad husband, but I can still be a good father to my daughter. It's still tough. I feel immense guilt over everything that happened, but not just to my wife, to my mum too. It will take me a while to get her feelings out of my head and disentangle her from my life, but I'll admit I'm excited for this fresh start. If it doesn't work out with my wife, I can still be the best dad that I can be. Thanks for the help, guys. I really appreciate it. Edit. The amount of hateful comments I've gotten in my inbox about how I'm a leech, how my wife was an idiot for getting with me in the first place, and how I'm a garbage person, is exactly why I didn't want to post here again in the first place. Update. Grandparents' rights. Since my posts elsewhere keep getting removed, I'm going through my removed posts on the MIL subreddit and reposting them here. I believe this was the first one that got removed. It focused on the grandparents' rights threat that is putting my wife and me through the ringer right now. The text is below. Hi there, me again. What the hell are grandparents' rights? And why is my mother hinting at them? I don't know if this is more of an r/legal advice scenario, but the background at this point in time is that, since I've cut off my mother from all avenues, she's decided to send snail mail to both me and my wife, with whom I am currently going through a trial separation. The return address was my mother's house and the handwriting was hers. My wife and I decided to meet up to discuss the letters, and she and I both received different ones. Not going to go into details of mine, because it was mostly come home to mama type crap, but my wife's letter came in a large envelope that was mostly unmarked. No postage on it and no evidence of it going through the post office, so she must have dropped it off herself. My wife is staying with her parents, and my mum knows the address through family gatherings, holidays, etc. But the handwriting matched, and she still wrote a return address on it. The letter itself included information about how my mum was thinking of pursuing grandparents' rights, but if that's not far enough, she'll have to get creative in order to spend time with our daughter. As for the grandparents' rights thing, my daughter is too young to have any type of serious relationship with my mom, but she has watched her on some occasions. My wife refused to let my mom have unsupervised visits when we were still together, but she would have some supervised play. As for the creative thing, I'm not entirely sure what to think. It doesn't sound like a total threat to me, but it does sound super ominous. My wife is freaked out. I let her know that I'd support her in any way possible, but we honestly don't know where to go from here. Restraining order? Cease and desist letter? Should we just document that we got this in order to keep a paper trail, but ignore the letter? I personally think we need to document this to the police. Update on grandparents' rights. Thanks everyone for your help the other day. I've blocked my mum on all communication and so has my wife. We can also confidently say we've got everything on lock, from my in-laws' house to our pediatric and to my daughter's social security number. As for the threat, we are following through with the legal proceedings, with a lawyer following my mother's threat, but my wife, daughter, and I are doing okay, and just taking it day by day, I guess. At the moment, I'm preparing for the worst from my mum. This morning, she attempted to see my wife at work, literally just showed up and asked to see my wife. When my wife's secretary refused, my mother demanded to see her and it got bad enough that they threatened to call the police. We are documenting everything and also looking into moving too. The space for my mother would be good. I'm worried she will come to my work next, but I have told my boss about the situation and he's pretty understanding, I guess as understanding as a boss can be. In the meantime, is there anything else I should do? A kind Redditor recommended we get the house CPS ready, and we are in the process of doing that. Better to be safe than sorry. Thanks again. It might have been a rough go-around in the beginning, but I'm starting to see the light. My mother may have come between my marriage, but I refuse to let her hurt my family any further, especially since she has threatened to take my daughter away. Mom sent me nude photos, I reported them, and wondering if I did the right thing. Hi everyone, this will likely be my last post for the next few weeks. Nothing is wrong, but we're preparing for my wife's birthday, and since I messed up the anniversary, I really want to do something special. Plus, with Halloween close by, my wife and I are getting our daughter's costume ready, decorating the house, and generally just trying to do some festive fall things. I'm finding that I'm enjoying this time with my family a lot without the interference of my mother. This is how it always should have been. But my mother almost always finds a way to work her way into what we are doing. Although we have remained no contact, she's starting to find ways to circumvent that, hence the story below. So I'm sure I'll have more updates. Here's my next question. My mom hasn't always acted sexual towards me, but my therapist has picked up on a few red flags that started in my teens and have carried into me being a man. The first one being the fact that my mom was snuggling me in bed when I moved in with her for a short amount of time. The second is that she can be touchy-feely with me in a way that I used to think was normal mother-son love, but now I know is weird. Playing with my hair, excessively kissing my cheeks, you get the point. One time, she pinched my butt when she came and visited my daughter and told me to give her a piece of that sugar. At our wedding, she wore an extremely revealing dress, at least it wasn't white, and tried to get me to dance suggestively with her on the dance floor. I thankfully realized what was going on and did not go for it. I'm rambling at this point, but what I'm trying to say is that she did something not too long ago that takes the cake. While I was at work, I got an email from someone I didn't recognize, and it got tagged as an external server. We use Outlook, which isn't unusual, since sometimes people will email and call to ask about our services. Plus, the subject line of the email said inquiry, and I could see a bit of the body copy asking about the types of services we offer. Well, to my surprise, this was a bait and switch. I opened the email to see the body copy, but underneath it, there were about 4 pictures of my mother, topless, with a caption under each of them that said, "Where's my sweet boy?" This was definitely an email from my mom. I don't get sick often, but I started shaking and then had to go to the bathroom to throw up. Why on earth would she think this was acceptable is something I'll never figure out. But it began to register to me that she had just sent me a topless photo through my work computer and also through my work's internet. I'm thinking this was likely done on purpose to get me in trouble. Anyway, I forwarded the email directly to our lawyer and blocked the new email address from my work and personal email. I then went to talk to my boss about it. He knows about my mom and her antics, and he said that he received an email from the same address regarding me being unprofessional on site a few days ago. So yeah, I think this is a setup. My boss, thankfully, is understanding of the situation. Or, I guess, as understanding as a boss could be. And just deleted the email from my mom and let me get back to work. Did I do the right thing here? Also, I'm worried that my mom is having some sort of mental break, not worried for her, but for myself, my wife, and my daughter. My therapist calls it escalation. If I got nude photos, I can't even imagine what's next. Is it time to call Adult Protective Services? Any advice would be appreciated. A quick update before we head to the mountains. My wife's birthday is this weekend, so we are about to go off the grid. Thought I'd update you all on the situation before we hightail it to nature. Nothing crazy has happened, thankfully, besides a few unmarked letters in the mail to both me and my wife, which we have made photocopies of for our personal records, and then sent them straight to the lawyer. Also, after speaking with my boss about the photos that were sent to me from her, I have also decided to go the police route with the awful photos that my mother sent me. Still no grandparents' rights papers yet, thankfully, again. Not sure if it will ever happen, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Some people have recommended that we get our house CPS ready just in case. We've got that handled in case it ever gets to that. We are still absolutely no contact with my mother, regardless of her attempts to get in contact with us. Lastly, we are serious about moving and are considering viewing homes and apartments next week. However, my wife is still adamant that she does not want to jump ahead and assume we will stay together after this boils over. If we purchase or rent together and then decide to divorce or legally separate, that would bind us to a living situation that I don't think would be good for anyone involved, including our daughter. I respect her decision, and although it's not ideal, I agree that we need to maybe let this settle and revisit the trial separation at a later date. So, things are slowing down a bit. I'm happy that things are returning to a bit of normal. It's still a rough road, and I'm working on myself and my family every day. Update. Mom has, I think, taken to trying to catch us during shopping trips. How do I proceed? Basically, the title. Still no contact with my mom. Still not answering any of her attempted communication. It's not confirmed, but my wife has a hunch that now mom is trying to confront us in a public place, like when we go out shopping. It happened 3 times over the past 2 weeks, and at first, we thought it was incidental, but since it's happened twice more, we are a little concerned. An example. We go to a nearby grocery store that's close to our home, but farther away from where she lives. I'd say it's about 25 to 30 minutes from her home, and also not the closest grocery place for her. Wednesday is our grocery shopping day since we both get off from work a little bit early. My mom knows this, as sometimes she would request for me to get her something and I'd go out to her house and bring groceries to her. I know. My mom is fully able to go grocery shopping herself. I thought I was being a good son. Now I know it was manipulative. 2 days ago we arrived said grocery store and found my mom pacing around outside looking like a crazy person. We decided to turn around and go to another grocery store. Again, I'm not a detective, but this seems suspicious to my wife and is starting to seem suspicious to me too. Are we overreacting here? A small part of me thinks we are being hypersensitive to this because of all that has gone down, but between everyone telling me my mum is dangerous and wanting to protect my family, I just don't know what to believe anymore. Any advice is appreciated. Update. Had to call for a wellness check on my mother. So, my mother showed up at my house in a frenzy. Thanks for the suggestions for the lock on our front gate and the ring. They've been super helpful up to this point, and especially helpful now. Anyway, my mom shows up at our home unannounced and screaming, crying for me and saying how she just needs me. She's crying and banging on our front gate, demanding to speak to me. If this were the old me, I would have let her in. And, to be honest, I almost did. But the new me decided to call the police. When they came, the police immediately told her to leave our property. It took a few moments, but then she finally left. I don't feel good about this. She's my mum. I feel obligated to speak to her, but she has also been so terrible to me and my wife. I'm going to try to go to sleep and do my best, but I've got a lot of thinking to do and maybe some more to share with my therapist. This is starting to impact her own mental health, so she has moved herself and our daughter back in with her parents for the time being, and wants to speak about our options with our lawyer on Monday. So, I guess we will start that process soon. I can't say I'm not disappointed, but I also can't blame her. I asked her if all of the bad really outweighed the good, and she gave me the most stern look and said, "Our relationship has been almost nothing but bad," and walked away. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I know these are things I need to bring up to my therapist. Thank you for listening. Update. What I've learned in counseling. I've learned that my mum views me as her husband. My therapist calls this emotional incest, although at times it has unfortunately crossed over into my mother actually wanting to get physical with me, such as her snuggling me in bed and sending me nude photos, and in some cases some small sexual activity that I've repressed and would rather not get into here. This is the first time I've actually written it out or said it out loud, besides with my therapist. Coming to terms that you've been sexually assaulted by your own mother when you were a minor does not feel great. I don't know how long it'll take me to work through these feelings, but please know I am working on them. I've learned that because my mom views me as her husband, she sees herself in constant competition with my wife. My therapist has pointed out that my mom views herself as the mistress, which may explain the nude photos. I've learned that my mom has very likely never properly grieved the death of my father. I've learned that almost every girlfriend I've had, including my wife, has never been good enough for my mom because only she believes that she's good enough for me. My therapist believes that, at the risk of protecting me after my father passed away, my mom went ballistic and turned me into her husband. My therapist calls it a son's band. I've learned that years of mental and emotional manipulation on my mom's side have gotten me here. Up until I had my first reality check, I really did believe all of this was annoying, but normal and just how she is. I still feel slightly guilty over everything that has happened, but my guilt has turned into anger. I feel like I've been robbed of a normal life. However, being in therapy has opened my eyes to what can happen next, though. I'm only in my 30s. I still have time to live a great life and be a great dad to my daughter. As always, thanks for listening. I'm always thankful for the advice and the support. As you've probably guessed, my normal meter is still a bit off, so it's good to hear other perspectives. Update. Trial separation is happening now. My wife and I decided to go through with the trial separation. She and our daughter are at her parents' house for the time being while I am at our home. It's the most awful feeling, and I've never been this empty before. Divorce is coming. I guess I should start calling her my ex-wife. I'm continuing with counseling so I can work through not just my personal feelings, but also what the next steps are going to be. I've always wanted to move out of state and maybe try out a new career, but I don't want to be far from my daughter. We'll see how it goes. I'd also like to thank all of you for your well wishes on my last post. I tried to respond to all of them, but I really just couldn't. I break down crying every time I see support. They are happy tears, but they are also a reminder of what could have been. Thank you for listening. Update. Ex-wife has informed me she is going to begin dating other people. I guess I should have seen it coming, but I almost wish she hadn't told me. She said that it was more of a heads up in case I see her out and about on a weekend or something. We're separated, so it's not against the rules for her to date or anything. And we're in a no-fault state for the divorce that's inevitably coming our way. I'm not in a place emotionally where I'm ready to date. I'm not even close. But hearing that she'll be meeting up with an old flame for dinner next weekend rocked me to my core. It means I really can't get her back. I did try one last time, and it did not go well. She said she's done with coming second to my mother and now second to the drama that's been going on in our lives, and that she doesn't want to raise our daughter in an unhealthy environment. Understood. First post. I don't want anything to do with my half-siblings. Tried posting this on Confession, but it got removed. But I really need to just have somebody hear me say this, even if I'm wrong about it. So, I'm 18 female, and in my final year of high school, and although I love my dad a lot, he is a serial cheater. I absolutely hate that part of him. I know that my mother loathes it too, since they've gotten into some pretty bad arguments about it. But in the end, they always forgive each other and move on. So, over the course of my entire life, my dad has spawned 4 half-siblings, with another on the way from a girl who's only 6 years older than me. The oldest, Eliza, is 15 female, and the youngest is 2 male. I seriously hate that he does this so much. I have told him over and over again that I wish he could just be faithful to our family, but he never is, because my best memories are of him, my mom, and me all just being together. And the worst part is, whenever I do yell or get mad at him about it, he seems happy about it and tells me he's proud that I'm willing to stick up for myself and that he knows I'll never let anybody push me around. Like he makes me feel happy for being angry. I never minded that he'd spend time with his other kids, or paid for their school, or parent support, or anything like that, until now. Eliza transferred into my school in September, but really only started a little bit ago, because she was in the hospital. Even though it's an all-girls academy, it's not the biggest school, and people talk. Some of my friends asked, "She looks like you, she has the same last name, and your dad went with her to the principal's office. Is that your cousin?" I've said no, but I'm certain she's had the same questions from her friends. She came up to me twice already asking if we could hang out and get to know each other because she wants to have a big sister. I've shut her down twice, and according to my dad, she cried the second time. He told me I don't have to do anything with her but to be polite, and if she reveals we're siblings I can't deny who she is, and I should get to know her and the others. Second post. So I didn't even know my dad could do this. I'm so pissed about it, but I also feel really terrible. So yesterday was family counseling night, and I enjoy going because it helps get all the secrets out and it makes me feel happy and like my family is normal. But my mum, 39 female, didn't go because my cousin gave birth and she wanted to be there to see her. So, it was just me and my dad, 44 male, going. Which is fine. We've been there alone a lot of times before. But waiting in the counselor's office already was my half-sister, Eliza. And I don't know why. It just made me upset seeing her there. I didn't participate in the counseling session, but it made me really half-sad and mad at the same time, and the counselor figured out what was going on, but my dad didn't, and I couldn't even talk properly. It felt like Eliza was trying to make me look like a villain for not letting people know she was my sister, which I never said she couldn't tell, just that I didn't want her to, and not wanting to hang out with her, which I don't. When we went back home, my dad asked me what was wrong and why I was so quiet, and I just yelled at him that he shouldn't have brought her without asking, and I felt like he broke my trust. He didn't say anything, but I could tell I hurt him. I just went to bed after crying. He came into my room later to talk, but I pretended to sleep, and he kissed me on the forehead and left. I know I made him feel really bad, and I haven't seen him all day. He's over visiting my baby half-brother. My mum told me that I shouldn't have used the words I did since I'm 18 now, and I just feel like a major asshole about it all. Edit. Since somebody suggested I add this, my dad is a serial cheater and has 4 kids, soon to be 5, out of his marriage to my mum. But I still love him a lot because he's a very good dad. Third post. So just to give everybody an update, my dad didn't come home all day on Saturday because my baby half-brother, 2 years old, was in the hospital. Apparently, things are really bad with him. And the day after he came back from the hospital and we had a big talk about what happened. I want to thank everyone who pointed out I was right to be upset, but I had things to think about regarding Eliza because she was hurting too. First, Dad apologized for not telling me that he was bringing Eliza into the counseling session and that he wouldn't ever do anything like that again. I apologized for swearing while yelling, and he forgave me. When he asked me if I got that Eliza was hurting too, I told him I did, and he suggested we have our own counseling. I told him that I'd think on it. The second thing that he told me is that there's a chance that my baby half-brother might die, and that news put the things I said in perspective for him. He told me he'd already talked about it with my mum and his mistress, but was asking me for permission because he hurt me the most and never should have. He wanted to know if I'd be okay with him going to inpatient rehab for sex addiction, which I didn't know was a thing. I said yes because I hope it'll help him, even though I know that I'm going to miss him a lot. Like some of you suggested, I agreed to counseling with Eliza on Wednesdays. We've had only one session now, and even though we aren't friends or anything, I think she gets why I feel the way I do, and apologized to me because she didn't know how hurt I was because of Dad. After she confessed that being hospitalized made her feel normal since Dad visited her every day, I felt bad and apologized for having not cared about her. She still feels upset about me not wanting to let her tell people we're sisters, but told me she's fine since we're doing counseling and we might one day get close. I don't know if we will, but at least we won't hate each other. I also took Eliza with me to visit our baby half-brother in the hospital. And it surprised his mum that we came there. I'm still not forgiving her, though he's a really cute kid and I regret not seeing him much before. It's hard to say, but I originally made this Reddit account to rant about my half-siblings, but you guys really helped make a difference in the way I was approaching this and what I'll use this account for later on. 4th post. My baby half-brother might die, and I'm scared about what I'm supposed to do. If you're wondering if this is related to the update post I posted on another subreddit an hour ago, it is. But that was written Friday, and it took till today to approve. So, things have changed since it was written, and it's taken a turn. I have never been close with any of my half-siblings. I have 4, soon to be 5. My dad is a serial cheater, and I'll admit that I wanted nothing to do with them all. But the events of the last 2 weeks kind of sort of made me change my mind on it. I'm not friends with any of them, but I just started counseling with my younger half-sister, Eliza. Our youngest half-brother, Ilya, 2 years, got an infection and has been in the hospital for a little over a week now. I visited him once with Eliza on Wednesday, which surprised his mother, 24 female, since she knows I don't like her. Today, my dad gave me the news that he's gotten a lot worse. I don't know who to talk to about this. I don't feel like I can talk to my mum. My dad seems emotionally exhausted, and it's only strangers on the internet here, so I guess I feel like I can vent. I mean, I want him to get better, but I've never thought of him as family and didn't even think I loved him. I still don't, actually, but I'm feeling scared and anxious. I don't know if I should talk to my dad or if I should go to the hospital again or anything or even talk to his mother. 5th post. My baby half-brother died and he didn't even get to see Christmas. I don't know if this is the right sub to post about this, but I don't know what the fuck to do. My baby brother died just hours before midnight, so he didn't even see Christmas. I can't talk to my dad because he won't stop crying. My mum doesn't care. The only other person who even knew him is my half-sister. She left after he stopped breathing and hasn't responded. Like fuck, I don't get it. I didn't even think I liked him or loved him. I thought I hated all my half-siblings and I hated his mum for trying to take my dad. It's like I missed out on the small time he had because I was so fucking spoiled and selfish. I got him a teddy for Christmas and he'll never get to play with it. I wish I could have seen him happy because I was wrong and he did matter. Now, when I go to my aunt's house tomorrow, I'm going to have to pretend like nothing fucking happened for mom, but I can't stop crying now. Fuck it. I'll leave in all my typos this time. He was so cute, and he deserved a better sister than me. All of them do. I miss you, Ilya. I wish I could hold you again. 6th post. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give a speech at my baby brother's funeral? So, my baby half-brother, Ilya, died 3 days ago, just before Christmas. I don't want to be posting this, but nobody else is listening. Ilya's mom was a TA at my school, so that's how she knows that I'm able to give good speeches. I won the award in grade 9 for best speech. Well, yesterday, I went with my dad to meet her because I've just felt like such shit since he died, and I know she's feeling worse than anyone. My dad said he'd handle all the funeral costs and arrangements. He brought up that it's his family tradition for fathers, oldest brother, and nephew, if any, to speak at funerals. Since my other half-brother is still too little, my dad suggested me because I'm the oldest and Ilya's mum seemed cheered up. I said yes then. But the entire night I've been scared about it. I don't know what to talk about or what to write about. I know it means a lot to my dad that I said yes, and a lot to Ilya's mum that I did actually care for Ilya. But I'm scared, because I don't know, but I am. I tried writing this morning, but kept feeling like crying. I tried talking to my mum about it, even though she hates hearing about my half-siblings. She told me that, since I committed to it, I had to do it, and I had to uphold my father's family tradition the best I could. My dad hasn't answered his phone, but I know he'd be disappointed too. I felt super shitty and like a super asshole all morning for not wanting to do it anymore. I'm sorry for rambling, but am I the asshole for not wanting to do it anymore? I'm feeling really confused. 7th post. So, I wasn't planning on posting this because I got some nasty DMs because of my old posts, but my therapist said it might be good to have closure on all fronts. So here I am. I admitted to my dad that I was scared to give a speech, and I didn't feel like I deserved to because I barely knew Ilya. He told me it was okay, and to just write something, and he'd say it for me if I wanted. I couldn't think of anything, so I just wrote down a Buddhist prayer my mom taught me when her cousin died. Ilya's mom said the prayer was fine, and I could say it in Chinese. At the funeral, I decided to say the prayer, and Dad and my half-sister Eliza stood by me in case I couldn't do it. It helped that there weren't that many people, because it was right after New Year's. I said the prayer in Chinese and then in English. I was only there on stage for like 2 minutes, and I kind of broke down right when I stopped. I cried so much. The rest of the funeral was just a blur. Really, I can't even remember the rest, just going home and falling asleep, crying in my mum's lap. My dad left for inpatient rehab the day after the funeral. It's been weird just being me and mum at home without him, especially because it's hard to talk to mum about Ilya. Eliza wants me to introduce her to our other half-siblings, Sean and Matteo, but I feel so awful, especially because Ilya looked so much like Matteo used to as a toddler. I've just been so terrible to all of them. I did agree to, though, so I guess I'll suck it up and see if I can do it next week. I did visit Ilya's mom when she messaged me. It was kind of awkward because I felt so bad for hating her for so long. She gave me some of his ashes in a vial as a thank you for loving him. Doesn't feel like I deserved it, though. I'm keeping it in my room, but I heard they can get infused in jewelry, so I'm going to ask my dad to do that once he's back, so I can always have him with me. It'll be the only jewelry that I'll actually like wearing. Hope that's some closure for you guys, too. Thanks to those of you who pointed out I didn't need to do anything. That's the end, guys. Some of these confessions honestly had me clenching my jaw. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today and listening through all that chaos. If you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if there's a confession that totally pushed your buttons too. Take care, stay sane, and I'll see you in the next one.